Hi guys, this is Amy Napier, and what we're going to do today is talk about the 8th grade writing test, and your test is over argumentative writing this year. So what we're going to do is break that apart as far as what needs to be in that essay, some study tips and things for you to practice, and also how to schedule your time well while you're actually taking your test. So some of you have done a little bit more writing than others, and so I am going to kind of go through this step by step. So if this is something you know, just consider it a refresher. So let's first look at the first couple of slides I'm going to show you are actually from the state practice booklet for 2017 to 2018 writing test. The first part is just going through your writer's checklist. Now keep in mind, because the 6th through 8th grade tests are computer-based, the examples that I'm showing you would be for a paper pencil test that they've used in the past. And so yours will look a little different because you should be typing on the computer. And so for your checklist, what you need to keep in mind is the topic addressed in my writing. Are my ideas expressed in complete sentences? Remember, with that, grammar is going to count. Capital letters, periods. Use your grammar check if it's available on there. Double check to make sure you're not making very small, silly mistakes by forgetting punctuation and forgetting capital letters. Do I explain or support my ideas with enough information using information from both texts? So you're going to have two examples of writing that you're going to be using to get your details and to help support your ideas. We're going to go through that in a little bit more detail later. Are the details I included directly related to my topic? This is important, guys. Do not go off and get yourself off topic where you find that you've written an entire page and you started out talking about zoo animals and now you're talking about your pets at home. Make sure you stay on topic. Have I written the response in my own words, paraphrasing or summarizing the information? Do not copy word from the passages they give you. The people grading your tests are going to have those passages. If they find that you've just copied those, you're not going to get points for your test. Are my ideas arranged in a clear order for the reader to follow? Again, I have some slides that we're going to talk about as far as how to arrange your essay. Do my paragraphs have topic sentences when appropriate? Remember, as you're changing an idea, you're going to change a paragraph. Make sure that your paragraphs are all talking about the same idea. If you are talking about your claim, make sure that the paragraph that you're writing is about your claim. If you are talking about counter arguments, make sure the paragraph that you're writing is about counter arguments. You're not going to have several days to write this, so you need to make sure and have a clear idea of your head, a plan, and the idea of the writer's checklist. Do I start each sentence with a capital letter and period? And so again, don't make silly mistakes. Use your basic grammar skills. Okay, don't get caught up on perfect spelling as you're beginning to write. Remember, you can always go back and make changes, and you can always, I'll be honest, I'm not really sure if you have access to spell check, but people are going to understand misspelled words. They are not going to understand why an 8th grader forgot to start their sentence with a capital letter, and they're not going to understand why you don't have punctuation at the end of your sentences. Okay, so again, have I used correct punctuation at the end of each sentence? Okay, you have heard them talk about this in more than one item, so this is obviously something those grading your test are paying attention to. So again, it talks about, is my spelling correct throughout my writing? Again, they're not going to expect every single word to necessarily be spelled correctly, but you want to make sure that you have done the best you can and you haven't misspelled silly words. So you always want to go back and be reading what you've written. What I would recommend is after you finished a paragraph, go back and reread your paragraph. So that way you've at least reread it once. You can check, does it make sense? Am I staying on topic? Have I used my correct punctuation in capital letters? Then if you run out of time at the end and you don't really have time to go back and reread the whole thing again, then you know you've at least read the paragraphs once. Will the reader be able to read my handwriting? Again, we are going to be using unless I find out differently, we will be using the computer for you to type for those. So your handwriting should not matter on this. So let's go in and talk about what they have. When you start your test, and for what I understand is this is worth basically 7 questions of your test. And so what you might see on the day of the test is your directions. Today you will read 2 passages, then write a paper on an assigned topic which relates to both passages. Your writing will be based on experiences, events, or information from both passages. So keep in mind your experience, as long as they relate to the actual topic, you can use as part of your arguments and details. Maybe events that you've experienced or events that are known throughout history could also be examples. And you always have your 2 passages. You want to make sure and include information from those so that someone grading your test knows that you went through and you read your passages. Your writing will be scored on how fully you develop the topic and on how well you organize and express your ideas. Your composition will be scored by trained readers. As you work, keep in mind these 3 stages of the writing. So you will have time to do planning. If it is a typed test, what I recommend is using kind of an outline. And what we're going to go through later is I'm going to show you how to really do an outline for an argumentative essay. Then you're going to have your writing, when you're actually doing your writing, and then your editing and your revising. Again, this is rereading what you've written as you're writing and then at the end. So what you're going to have is 2 passages. And so your prompt, this is an example of a prompt. This is not what you'll actually be writing about, but it will give you an idea of what to do. So for your writing topic today, it says people have different views about whether animals, including endangered animals, should live in the wild or in man-made environments. Write an argumentative essay whether any animals should be kept in a controlled environment such as zoos or nature parks. Be sure to include state a claim, address the opposing viewpoint, and use evidence in both passages. Before you begin planning and writing your response, read the 2 passages. So today is the impact of animal protection and do animals lose in zoos? If I were you, read the prompt topic more than once. Make sure, first of all, you understand what it's asking you to do. And then you can begin reading. Now, if it's a topic that you have a lot of background knowledge of and you kind of have an idea of some things that you want to write about, keep those in your head, and as you're reading the articles, see if what you feel and the ideas that you have can be supported through the 2 articles. The important thing about argumentative writing is that there's not a right or wrong answer. And so you are wanting to make sure that you can express to the reader why your beliefs are correct. One thing you don't want to do is be disrespectful in your writing about people with opposing views. Keep in mind, the people reading your writing may not agree with your idea. And so it's important that you address both sides in a respectful and kind way. If you start being disrespectful about opposing views, the person reading it may shut down on what you're writing and stop really paying attention to it and focus more on the fact that you're being disrespectful. So please keep that in mind as you're writing. So you can see the articles are not necessarily going to be super long, but you may need to go back and reread these. Make sure you understand what it's saying. And so after you've read the 2 articles, you're going to have kind of an idea of doing some planning. This is important. If it is part of one of the pages they give you, do some planning. It doesn't have to be detailed, but you do need to actually put something down. Again, you should be typing yours, and so I would not try to do a web or something too complicated. I'm going to show you here in a little bit a very easy way to make an outline that includes your claim, supports your evidence, includes your warrants, and also deals with the counter arguments. So let's go look at